Hey guys, and welcome back to this next episode of the retro farming series. As you can see, we're up nice and early. It's a new day, um, and we have both bale trailers full. As it turned out, we have an order placed for a bunch of conventional bales. Those are the ones that we make currently. That is about to change, but more on that later. So let's see what is the money that is offered to us for all of this goodness. Um, yeah, that's fairly good. Um, and I think it would climb if I waited, but I won't. It's not our primary income anyways. Ooh, some massive. What's the deal all of a sudden? That's not fun. Okay, whatever that. That's interesting. Oh, it. Oh, I see what happened. It got all released all of a sudden. Did I push? What? What? Where is what and everything? And right. So now I lost bales. They're over there. Okay. So after a little bit of a mishap, uh, we're on our way to the selling point. That is at the Optigape yard. Almost like that center of the map. And while we're getting there, I wanna talk about a few things, and then when we do the next thing that we do, I will talk about other things. It's a video where we do things, or I do things, and I talk about things at the same time. Yeah, uh, pretty tricky, isn't it? Anyways, it seems that I have found the direction for this series, which is pretty good. Um, there was a little bit of direction seeking at the beginning, and you might have feel that if you watched the previous episodes. Um, and it's becoming clearer and clearer what we have to do here. On the one hand, it's going to be called retro farming because Zen Farm doesn't really describe what we do here, and somewhere in Hungary was really just a placeholder title. So it's going to be retro farming or Hungarian retro farming or something like that. Whereas we aren't really retro in the sense that we are in the here and the now. Um, I don't pretend that it's like the 80s or the 90s or anything like that when cars like that come along uh, on the other side of the road. It's absolutely pointless. But we are using retro styled machines, so I think it's a very good title for the series. Where that tractor is going to go? Of course, it has to. Giants, please fix the game for the next edition. Fix the traffic, because that's stupid that I have to yield when I'm on the main road. And now I'm stuck behind that slower tractor. Frustration, frustration, and frustration. Anyway, where was I? Yes, I was talking about the title of the series. So that's because we're running older machinery, mostly from the 80s and the 70s as much as possible. If it's absolutely necessary, we turn to the 90s and probably early 2000s, but I won't really use the absolutely cutting edge latest technology machines coming with the base game anytime soon. That being said, on the other hand, what we are going to do is I love that kind of language, and I think Rob will be entertained by that too. So we're going to bring change to this place, and we're going to uh, basically we're going to put progress back into progressive around this place, because as it seems there is a cooperation forming between my farm, or the farm that I'm running. It's not mine per se. Can I release this? Yes, I can. That's not the luckiest way. Okay, it's sold all. Okay, that's actually, I think that's a lot better price than we got the previous time, because it just, like good wine, it just improved over time. So yeah, we're going to take progress back into the word progressive, because we're going to cooperate with the farms in the neighborhood, and most of those have some kind of husbandry going on, and they have certain needs that we can very well cater to, like um, selling straw and things like that, and we have a little bit of alfalfa, and I think we will switch to uh, fodder crops a bit more. So we're going to change a few more fields into grass, or oh, we went on a little tour, didn't we? So we're going to switch on more fields. We're going to switch to grass, or even more alfalfa, or probably clover. I think clover is an option, isn't it, on this map? Yes, it definitely is. We could actually go for a bunch of other things that we won't. We won't chase root crops and things like lettuce and cabbage, but clover and alfalfa definitely seems quite good. Um, let's see what prices we can make for these. Um, where are they? Oh yeah. So yeah, they go for pretty good prices, as you can see. Um, oh, but yo, hold on. These are the Stromy mod bales. Yes, we actually going to sell all the corn stalks as well, and as you can see, that sells pretty good. There is a large dairy farm in like 2 villages away, literally. Um, where are those? Are those crops like over here? I don't see prices for cloth, or is it just considered regular straw? We'll see, because what we're going to do today is actually go ahead and cut one of the alfalfa fields, because we have an order from said dairy farm for a bunch of hay bales. However, they require Heston bales, so very large square bales. So as a result, we have a Heston baler on the way here, uh, kindly provided by the actual owner of this farm. I don't know if I ever explained this, but he's a Hungarian expatriate who just decided to buy this farm right from under the nose of the local mayor, who wanted to own it, just for his own good. But this expatriate businessman has bought it. He is actually not really a businessman because his business is owning several large farms around the world. Like from what I know, his headquarters are in Australia, but he also owns a farm in Paraguay and another one in Argentina. So yeah, he's a big dog, you could say. And so he's the actual owner. I'm just running the farm for him. So the money you see in the top right corner is really not mine. I never really explained this. And so the loan that is out on the farm for now, or the mortgage, is not mine either. However, it falls to me to actually provide the means to to pay it back. Yeah, so that's how it works. So actually, uh, this guy, I reckon he doesn't want me mentioning his name. Anyways, this my benefactor, you could say, or my boss. He's very helpful when it comes to providing or rounding up machinery in the area. Uh, Actually, it's not him personally, of course, but he has a confidant here in Hungary, a lawyer who can do things like that. He's Hungarian attorney. He's the liaison between him and I, and usually he's the one who is doing all these kinds of things. Or he and his office. Of course, he's running a larger office. Big dogs like my actual boss don't really uh, employ uh, law firms without the proper background. Anyways, they are very helpful in rounding up machinery. So from what I know, an actual Heston baler made by Heston, the company, is on the way here. It's nicely refurbished and everything, like most of the things that we get. I think he's doing a pretty good job in actually rounding up things. And one thing that has been delivered during the night is the mower over here that we're going to use. It's a Force 303 self-propelled mower. Um, these were widely used here in Hungary starting from the 90s, from the 70s, when the first one of the series, the E301, appeared. This is actually one of the later versions, the 303. It was made in East Germany, of course, and even today there are a few running, and this one is in very nice condition. Um, from what I know, it's refurbished. That's why it looks so nice. Obviously, it's used and everything, but that's just fine for us. And then uh, a windrower that we're going to use is obviously uh, the Swadro 930. This is one point where I said that I want to stray from the idea of showcasing what the people of olden days used here in Hungary. That and the various implements that they actually used are no longer available. And the third one, now where did I put? Oh yes, I forgot. It's here. Uh, Actually, this is a small far tether, which is, to be honest, not really uh, that lucky in the sense that I think it doesn't really have a big working with, like 3 meters or so, but the good thing is that it can be run with the MPZs. So this is the stuff that we're going to run today, and let's see which one of the two alfalfa fields will go. Oh yes, I think the large one will come down. I don't even know if it has a number. Uh, if it does have one, it's going to be shown here. Yes, it has a number, of course. It's field number 10. Um, as you know, these are arbitrary numbers given for the reasons of bookkeeping and statistics and things like that. Uh, Stuff that I usually don't bore you guys with that go along with running a farm like this one. This is a fairly large one with Hungarian standards. Basically, what happened is that the cooperative farm stayed in one large piece, which is pretty much a rarity. Um, that's because the local populace simply wasn't interested in actually owning fields, and one of the business-minded people who actually worked in the cooperative farm bought out all of the fields in the vicinity, and he ran the farm until like 2 years ago. But then he died because that's what happens to people whether we love it or not. And he died without a successor. So yeah, it was a large there was a large question mark on the future of the farm. Actually, it was owned by a bank, and then they employed uh, people to look after the assets. And I think that's one of the large problems here, that the individual who was uh, responsible for calling the shots wasn't really uh, considerate about how to make it lucrative actually. And that's why we have all the corn and canola and all that. I mean, don't get me wrong, but it canola is a pretty good crop in and of itself. But when it comes to like providing for the neighboring farms that need fodder for the animals, uh, it's really not the best, because canola straw is only for bedding, and even for bedding it's not the best quality. So uh, that's something that is good to keep in mind. That's why we're going to switch to primarily to uh, wheat and barley, and then I think we're going to do some oat in the next rotation, because the horse stable that we are already in an agreement with actually uh, hinted at the willingness to spend on some oat. Yeah, so that's a good way uh, to turn a good profit while also helping other enterprises in the vicinity, like keeping things local, and then uh, turn big profits in a cooperative effort and be part of the big picture. So that's what we're doing here, and this is what I mean when I say that the aim is to put progress back into progressive, um, without being political or anything like that. Uh, yes, and this is the alfalfa field in question, field number 10. Now, I don't think it's in too good of a shape, so I can imagine that I will scrap it. Okay, that's folded and ready to go. And possibly for a rotation or two I will switch it to something else, because I think, let's check it out. I think just like every other field, it's crying for a plowing and a layer of lime as well. Uh, it's really good news that this map looks like this, because I really like to spread lime. No, I don't. I'll be honest with you guys, spreading lime is one of my least favorite things to do. But I think we will come up with something. I guess we just start this thing because there really isn't, no, there isn't a way to lift the reel or anything like that. It is what it is. And it's really not a question whether we want to drop windrows or not. Yeah, so as you can guess, this machine came to be to uh, to play the same role as self-propelled sweaters played in the Western world. I don't say it absolutely surely, or I wouldn't imply it that heavily, but lightly I would imply that this one was maybe inspired by various self-propelled swatters that appeared in the West in the 60s and 70s, because yeah, the East Bloc companies took inspiration from what was going on in the West on more than one occasion. I think I may have told several times over here at the channel how this same company took inspiration from class combines to actually roll out with their large combine, the E516. So I think if they took inspiration in terms of combines, implying that they took a look or two at swatters made by possibly Massey Ferguson or John Deere is not a far-fetched idea. Although I have no idea how that came to be. They could visit the USA or anything like that was possible, because I know for a fact, now that I'm learning more and more about the history of socialist agriculture here in Hungary, I know that Hungarian experts visited the USA several times to actually study production methods and organizational methods on large farms in the USA. And then again, they every now and again visited manufacturers because they wanted to see firsthand the latest products that they then later imported for trials or for large scale distribution. And we're talking about thousands of machines here, like in case of John Deere tractors, there were two large state farms that operated as distributing services. First, the one that started out as CPS and then later under the name EKR. CPS stood for Corn Production System, and then it was later translated into Hungarian, iparszerű kukorica termesztési rendszer, that's why it's called IKR, logos on screen as I'm talking about them. And then another one that is, so they started first with John Deere tractors, but then later on they moved on to Case International and Case Machinery. A large number of those were license produced by Raba, the single largest machinery manufacturer here in Hungary around the times. And then actually John Deere was taken over by Kita. That was another large state farm, and there is a large dealership or distributor here in Hungary, the primary distributor of John Deere products, that is still called Kita today, and is still doing, and that is still doing that. So yeah, and then of course, as I said, international and case equipment was distributed by IKR alongside of I think it's still today one of the products that they sell, and then there were other brands that they sold as well. But then again, like, I think Class was first distributed by IKR, and then later it was taken over by Axia, that is today the single largest distributor in current day. They actually hold the rights to distribute Class and I think like all of the Echo brands. Interestingly enough, Echo brands weren't really big here in Hungary before the 90s and 2000s. So during the socialist era, for some reason, those companies or the products of those companies weren't really present. Massey Ferguson was pretty much unheard of. Then again, Fendt wasn't even an Echo company back in the day. So yeah, and as you may know, Heston wasn't really an Echo brand in the 80s. It belonged to the I think it was called already Case Group or something like that. So it was in the same family as International and Case. Like that. And then it was first, I think, swallowed by, alongside of Case, it was swallowed by New Holland, and then they sold it off to Echo later. Don't quote me on that though, but this is how I remember it, that I read it. It's pretty complicated how brands tend to move from one owner to the other. Yeah. Also, now that we're at this, Fortschritt actually has become part of the CNH family. It is now, whatever is left of Fortschritt is now with the CNH group, as far as I know. But back when these bad boys were produced, it was owned by the state in East Germany. So like that was a state-owned company. Like, as far as I know, pretty much everything was state-owned in East Germany. There was this VEB, spelled as VEB, something like Volks something Betrieb, or something along those lines. Obviously it was an acronym of 3 German words. That how things went. Um, like head honchos in the East Bloc just simply loved acronyms, and that's why everything was full of acronyms, from company names to methodology and everything like that. Yeah. Anyways, this operation is now a bit more than an acronym. It certainly took more than saying an acronym out loud. So I think I will cut, and we're going to be back when tedding is happening, and then possibly windrowing is going to happen in this episode, or it may be brought over to the next one. We'll see how we do on time. Anyways, see you in a few. So yeah, as you guys can see, we're coming to the end of actually cutting and swathing this field. Actually, swathing is uh, not that lucky to put it this way in this case, because I actually want to turn it around. But then again, it's alright, because this may be good, beneficial for the relatively small working width for our tether. Simply because this way we can just go through the swaths, and then hopefully we're good. Also, while I was working here, I got a phone call from the from the owner of the horse stable, and he's been calling on behalf of obviously himself, the owner of the cow farm that I was talking about, the dairy farm that we're delivering this load to. And also there is a pigsty in the vicinity that has heard the rumors that I have goods to deliver. So guess what? They all have great interest in putting together a plan and to form a much closer cooperation between the four operations. Obviously ours is one. The three others are these husbandry operations, because typically their greatest problem is that they don't really have the assets to provide for the animals on themselves without actually having to buy stuff like fodder, bedding material, or anything like that. And these are exactly the things that I produce over here. So yeah, of course they have a great interest in that. We are actually lucky to own a large portion of land, and it's in one huge piece. So that's obviously a treasure trove of possibilities for us. Naturally, as I said, We are here to set things in motion in this area. So yeah, why not? We're going to sit down and we're going to talk through the possibilities, to see what's on the table, and also what are the expectations on all parts and things like that. So yeah, it's going to be good. Uh, this is how it's going to go down. That being said, I think this episode is already pretty long, so I guess we'll cut off at the yard. We have to check in at the yard because I got a phone call, another phone call, there that is, and we had another delivery. I know what that is, you guys can probably guess it. Um, but yeah, we're going to check it out. Makes me excited actually, because it's something big and something very nice, if I'm correct as to what it really is. Ooh, that rear suspension is really good, the way it works. I mean, I noticed that while using it um, on several occasions. It isn't really the maiden voyage of this machine with me, but it definitely is uh, something that I just noticed really how good it is. I've seen that it's there, but I've never used it on such a bumpy road, so obviously I couldn't have noticed it so far, but that is really nice. Then again, I have said this in mod spotlight videos many times before, and in other videos as well, that everything that AAA modding makes is in an entirely different league from most stuff that you can find. I mean, of course, there are several quality mods all over the world and everywhere you can look, but these are especially nice. We should find some place for that, but that's going to be later. Let's check out what we got. So yes, we got a Heston 4900 Heston baler. Guess what? And also it has arrived with this Parkland bale collector, uh, and yeah, it's a nicely refurbished piece. Actually, additive tanks like this were in use on occasions, or at least I have seen archived pictures of Heston balers with such tanks, but this is fairly new, and I don't know if this particular combine ever had that before, but now it does have one. Now the yard mechanic who is working around here is just a bit camera shy, that is all. Has already filled it up and then made sure that everything is in working order. However, he brought one tiny problem to my attention, which is really not a tiny problem. It is that, namely, I was planning to run this baler with this tractor, and as you can see, he used it to move around the baler all over the yard. And he noticed that its hitch is too low, so that means that the bale collector is flinging in the air. The baler is attached to that tractor, so we have to work out something especially because between my tractors so far, that's the only one that has the horsepower to run such a baler. Um, the MTZs are equipped with turbos. Aftermarket turbos are added to them later on. Were added to them later on, and with that they produce 90 horsepower. Uh, the factory horsepower rating of an MTZ82 is 80 horsepower, hence the 8 in their model number. And actually, the 2 is because these particular ones uh, are uh, all-wheel drive. The MTZ80s that you can see out around the roads are just two-wheel drives. Yeah. Anyways, I think I will stop it here. I have explained way too much already, and this video is pretty drawn out. But I think I'll be back in the next one, and we're going to do some tedding. But first, I think while the grass starts to dry, or the alfalfa starts to dry, I will put things in order in this yard because we're starting to get messy. Yeah. That being said, I think the hand-selected videos and playlists appear right now alongside of the subscribe button. Um, and all I have left is saying thank you for watching and TTFN.